I know you've been looking at them. I know you've been thinking about those manufactured homes, and more people are considering it because of the fact that it's such an affordable housing option. There's been some things, though, in the last several years that have changed when it comes to purchasing a manufactured home, and you're going to need to know about them. And then you can tell me at the end if you're still considering a manufactured home or you're going to go with another housing option. So let's jump into it.
Fun fact: the demand for temporary housing during World War II led to significant advancements in mobile home manufacturing. Companies such as Fleetwood and Silvercrest produced mobile homes to accommodate military personnel and wartime workers, contributing to the popularization of mobile homes as an alternative housing option.
So if you're looking at manufactured home, you may be considering, do I want to put it in a park or do I want to go ahead and buy my own piece of land? And here's some things I want you to consider, especially when it comes to deciding if you want to put it in a park or not. Across the country for the last several years, more and more Wall Street investors have been purchasing up manufactured home parks. And if you think, well, you know what, I was going to move to an older one, they're not going to want my park anyways, it's not new and nice and shiny. Those are the ones that they want first, because of the fact that they know that they can make a lot of money on it. A lot of people that live in parks are people that are on fixed income or either low income. Not all, but a good portion, especially in the older manufactured home parks. In the Wall Street investors, they're forcing them to sell. They're changing the rules.
The plan, according to the new management, is to clean up the park. But those we talk with believe the new management wants to run them off.
And that can happen at any park at any time. Your home that you've paid for, that you've been renting the land underneath it, now may have to be upgraded, and you may not have the money to do that. So that's something you need to think about. The other thing too, if you are forced, and let's just say your manufactured home is 30 years old, you can technically move your manufactured home, but because of the age, some moving companies may not allow you to move it at all. You may not be able to find anybody to move it to a new location. Oh, and by the way, too, with that, so if you have a problem with your landlord that you're renting the land from, most likely there's going to be no way for you to have any kind of resolvement with any kind of government entity. You would have to take them to small claims court to even get your case heard, and that can be dragged out for a very long time. When it comes to manufactured home parks, you don't have the same kind of protections like you would for a typical rental of a house or an apartment or a condo. It just isn't the same because you're only renting the land. A lot of times investors can get away with a heck of a lot, and they know it. And that's why they love to invest in them, because they can kick people out for pretty much any reason, evict them, even if they own outright. Now, I have seen recently in a few of the other manufactured home parks, the older ones that are still owned by mom and pop, they've been actually paying for people to move their manufactured homes to their park so they can have like lower rates. So if you're considering a park, I would look at their restrictions right now just to see how old a manufactured home could be. Even if you're buying a brand new one, because it could be 30 years down the road after you've owned your home, they're going to force you to upgrade it. And one more thing I want to add about that too is that the cost of moving a manufactured home is a lot more expensive than you probably think. And of course, it has to do with how many miles down the road it's going to be going. And if it's a double wide or single wide. Of course, single wide manufactured homes are going to cost a lot less to move than it would for a double wide. But you're looking at costs on the lowest end about $6,000. On the highest end, you're looking at $20,000 to $25,000. For some of you, the decision is going to be very simple. You're going to buy a piece of land and you're not going to be living in a park. But there's something I need you to be aware of. Not all land across the United States you can use for a manufactured home. Matter of fact, a lot of areas are not zoned for manufactured homes and they will not allow it. If you're unsure, the best thing I can tell you to do is to go to the planning and zoning of that specific area to ask if that piece of land allows for manufactured home. Unfortunately, there are many areas that will not allow for it. If you see anything on the MLS that says agricultural, if you see anything that it says commercial, or you see anything that it's mixed use, doesn't mean that any of those things will allow for manufactured homes, but it also doesn't mean that they won't allow for manufactured homes. When it's listed for mixed use or agricultural, sometimes they have leeway for allowing those types of structures on the piece of property itself. So just because it says mixed use, it doesn't mean that you can't put a manufactured home on it. You're just going to have to check with that local county. Now, if it's listed with a real estate agent, they can look that up for you. That's their job. They should be looking picking that up for you. And if you're lucky, you might be in a state that has it already listed on the MLS already. Like in Louisiana, they have it listed, but not all states are like Louisiana. I get hundreds of emails a month asking about raw land and if they can put a manufactured home on it. Now, when you're referring to raw land, that is land that has never been developed at all, meaning that most likely it's not going to have water running out to it, a utility pole, even cable or internet. That is where the expense comes in, and it can be a real money pit. You might have found a manufactured home for, let's just say, $60,000, and then you found a piece of land for $5,000, and you think, oh, wow, I can have my whole setup for less than $100,000. But when you put your well system down, you have a survey done, you have your utility pole put in, that can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. And also know that whenever you're having your manufactured home delivered, you have to make sure that the place is easily accessible to go down the road to have it delivered to that spot. That can actually cost you extra as well. If it is on a steep incline or there's lots of trees, they will charge you extra to have your home delivered to your piece of land. So you need to put those things in consideration because that can cost you thousands of dollars more. Now, I think the saddest story I ever heard when it came to buying a piece of land was a young woman found a piece of land online. She did something called owner finance to buy it, and she was having a manufactured home delivered to that location. It was just about to be delivered, and they were marking the spot. And it just so happened a neighbor saw what she was doing and walked down and said, this is my land. What are you doing? And she's like, no, I own it. And he said, I'm the owner. That's my piece of land. It belongs to me. And she's like, no, I have all this. And she had what looked like very formal title work. She had a very formal looking purchase agreement. And she had already given that company a hefty deposit for that piece of land, only to find out the whole thing was a scam. So be very, very cautious when you're buying anything online where you're not meeting the sellers and you're not working with a real estate agent. There are scams out there, so I want you to be aware so nobody takes your money. One of the most appealing things about having a manufactured home, whether you're having it on a piece of land or at a park, is that your bills and your payments are a lot less than a standard traditional built home. For instance, your insurance is typically less. And if you have it in a park, you don't have any property taxes at all unless it's part of your dues that you pay when you pay your rent. But just here recently, insurance costs when it comes to manufactured homes is so high.
Insurers like State Farm and Allstate are ceasing coverage in fire and flood-prone regions, potentially impacting manufactured home values. This shift, driven by heightened climate-related risks and escalating costs, as homeowners confront dwindling options and surging costs, the insurance industry claims to be addressing the mounting risks through collaborative efforts with regulatory bodies.
And as we see more natural disasters happen along the coastline in California and even Las Vegas, you're going to see those insurance costs go up even higher. But that really affects people that are living in manufactured homes and manufactured home parks because of the fact, especially if you have one that's over 10 years old, because the strapping systems that hold down your manufactured home are not the same as they were back then. So insurance companies have taken this opportunity to jack up those people's rates. And with people that are on fixed incomes, they're highly affected by these temperamental insurance rates. This is giving an opportunity for many investors to come in and buy up their homes at a lower rate because the insurance is so much higher. They have no choice but to sell them very quickly. Be very aware of how much insurance is going to cost you for your manufactured home. You're not going to have as much of an issue with the cost if you have bought a brand new manufactured home. But anything that's over 10 years old, insurance companies are raising rates, and it's alarmingly high, especially if you're in hurricane or weather-prone areas. I get this comment on my videos about mobile homes probably, 20, 30 times a week. I'm not joking. It always says the same thing. Manufactured homes are very difficult to resell. It has little to no appreciation, and it's a very bad idea to buy a manufactured home. And I'm going to tell you this. It just like any piece of real estate, if you buy a manufactured home in a really crummy area, you're not going to get the return on the investment for what you put into it. If you buy a manufactured home in an area that's highly desirable, you're going to get a lot more interest in your manufactured home, and you're probably going to get an appreciation value on it. Not only that, it's going to be saving you from paying off somebody else's mortgage when you're renting, because that's what you're doing when you have a landlord. You're paying their mortgage. And this is going to be a little piece of the property that you own for yourself. And always in the future, just remember, you can always rent that property out, and then you'll have your own income earning property. So you can be your own landlord. And one more thing, and to make a blanket statement that manufactured homes are the most difficult thing to resell, and to say that you'll never make any kind of profit off of it is just incredibly silly. That is not true. And I can tell you, in the last couple of years, a lot of people made a lot of money when they sold their manufactured home. And I know lots of people I personally have worked with that kept that manufactured home, and they've collected a lot of rent over the years. They're not terrible. They're really not. And that's why Wall Street investors love them so much, because they know it's easy to maintain. They can go ahead and make some good rental income on them. That's why they keep buying them. That's why they keep buying the parks. What used to be considered probably the most affordable housing option that you could purchase in the United States is no longer nearly as affordable as it used to be. I actually even found this article online on how much manufactured homes are costing today. For a single wide manufactured home, it's between $60,000 and $90,000. 4 years ago, that would have started at like $40,000 to $60,000. The cost of building materials, the lack of labor has hit all the housing sector, not just manufactured homes. At one point, manufactured homes actually were even a little bit higher than this, but as building materials came down in price, actually manufactured homes came down as well, but not enough for some people that are looking for the most affordable housing option. You can even buy a manufactured home for over $250,000. One thing I want you to be aware of, though, because you see a house in Texas for $60,000, and then you go home in Pennsylvania and see the exact same house, the exact same manufactured home, it could be a completely different price. Pricing for manufactured homes are different in every single state. It will also be different for them to set it up. The costs are always going to be different. The more complicated your setup is or delivery is, the more it's going to cost you for them to deliver the home. And the other reason why the manufactured homes are not like a set price, the same across the board, is because the building codes for each state are completely different. And the way that those homes are manufactured in that state are going to be completely different. So that's why the cost is always going to vary a little bit in each state, even though the floor plan's exactly the same. And you happen to find one for about, let's just say $116,000, you're probably wanting to know what it's going to cost you in the end. And this is a breakdown of the prices that were on homeguide.com. For a double wide unit for $116,000, a full service delivery is going to cost you about $4,000. The site prep with foundation is going to cost you around $7,000. Installation of the well and septic is going to cost you around $6,000. But not all manufactured home companies will do that for you. Sometimes you have to do that ahead of time with a plumber. So find that out ahead of time. They may not roll that into the package. The electricity pole is going to cost you around $2,500, and they're saying their permits are going to cost you around $7,500 for a total of $143,000. Now, those prices can vary from state to state, but just know that just because you're buying a $116,000 house, you still have a lot of other fees to tack on there, and you're getting close to $150,000 at that point. Now, a lot of these things can be rolled into your mortgage, especially if you're doing a new construction loan, but you're going to have to work with your mortgage company with that. Now, they will have mortgage companies available to you on the site where you could buy your manufactured home, but I always suggest to shop around the rates when it comes to that. Don't be sucked in because they pulled you in the office and started throwing numbers at you. Take what they put on that piece of paper as far as numbers and take it to a credit union, take it to other mortgage brokers in your area. And then there's always a national brand of 21st Mortgage. They're known for doing manufactured homes. Most likely that's going to be the mortgage broker that they use on those sites anyways, but just see if they can give you a different rate. I've seen that happen. If you're buying a already lived-in manufactured home that's already on a piece of land, you're not going to have the headache of trying to dig up the well. You're not going to have the headache of the electricity, but you're going to have some things happen during the sale, and there's going to be some forms that they're going to need you to fill out. And just know that the process to get your manufactured home in your hands, it will take a little bit longer than the traditional home sale. There are just more documents they're going to need. And your inspections are going to be different as well. Especially if you're doing an FHA loan, there's going to be an FHA inspector that inspects the house to make sure it can be approved for that home loan. So just know that ahead of time so you're not surprised. Just wanted to let you know. All right, let's go over a quick pros and cons list. Affordable, they tend to be very affordable for most people in most areas across the United States. A lot less expensive than a traditional built home. They're move-in ready. Like as soon as you have it set up in an area, especially if it's in a park, you can pretty much move in as soon as you get your occupancy license. It doesn't take them that much to put them together. And not only that, if you happen to live in a park, you get to be around all your neighbors. 55 plus communities are known for being well maintained and having amazing amenities and some amazing neighbors. But not everything, of course, can be a pro. There's always cons too. These are the most unexpected cons that people don't think about, and I want you to think about, especially if you're considering buying buying a manufactured home. The first one is that even though you bought a manufactured home and you've put it on a piece of land, not all states consider a manufactured home as real property. They will not allow you to consider it real property. You'll always have to have something called a chattel loan, meaning you'll have a mortgage on the land and you'll have a mortgage on the actual mobile home itself. Not all states work this way, but just know that in some areas, you're just going to get a title that looked like a bumper sticker. Like when people say, oh, I have a license plate on the back of my house, because they consider it more of like an RV and not a house, a traditional built house, even though it is a house. They're not an RV. It's not a mobile anything. There's nothing mobile about it. Once it's in place, it isn't like you can drive it down the road willy-nilly because you want to go to the beach. I don't know why they call them mobile homes. I think that's a con. They shouldn't call them mobile homes. People still do, though. They call them trailers, too. Another con you need to be aware of is it's very difficult to find financing currently. As easy as it was 2 years ago to find financing, especially in your local area, as far as like local banks and credit unions and standard mortgages, it's become more and more difficult because I'm getting a lot of emails telling me they're having a hard time finding someone in the area that will give them a mortgage on a manufactured home. I will say this, if you have crummy credit, it doesn't matter if you're buying a car, manufactured home, an RV, a tiny home, you're going to have a harder time finding anybody to give you a loan on it. You're going to want to have good credit so you can get the best interest rate. And that's true, of course, of any piece of real estate. But just know that the interest rate that you would get for a manufactured home is always going to be a little bit higher than a traditional built home. And that's because of the liability of that being returned. Just know that, because banks consider that manufactured homes are to be more of a risk. They always add a little bit more to the interest rate so they can go ahead and protect that asset. Kind of sucks, especially when you're trying to find the most affordable home, but you're still going to find it a lot less expensive than a traditional built home, especially today. And plus, in most areas, they're not even making homes the size that you would want in a manufactured home. They're not building those little small 3-bedroom, 2-bath houses anymore. And the only way you're going to be able to get it is through a manufactured home. So that little part should be on the pro part, but you know what I'm saying. Another con, of course, is the fact that resale. There is a stigma when it comes to buying or selling a manufactured home. You will always have better luck over a shorter period of time if you tried to sell a traditional built house over a manufactured home. Just know that in the future, if you're planning on selling this, make sure there's a market to sell it. Make sure you're going to be able to find buyers to buy it, and have your expectations set by a real estate agent or just by monitoring the market to see how long traditionally it would take to sell your manufactured home that's on a piece of land. Oh, another con too is if you are thinking about selling your manufactured home that's in a park that you're renting out the piece of land, in most states, I'm not saying all states, but in most states, you cannot be represented by a licensed real estate agent. You're going to have to go on it on your own or deal with somebody in your sales office that's in the park. Just want to let you know that. Manufactured homes have become a lot more popular than they used to be, but you're still going to have naysayers who absolutely freaking hate them. But the next time somebody tells you, like, oh, only trashy people live in manufactured homes, do you know that there's actually a lot of celebrities that live in manufactured homes? Matthew McConaughey is one of them. Barbara Corcoran, who is one of the biggest real estate moguls in the United States. She's on Shark Tank. She happens to live in one, and it has to do with the fact that they're located in really good places. Just like any piece of real estate, it always depends on the location. And if they think that like, oh, living in a manufactured park is trashy, there are some beautiful manufactured home parks that are taken care of very well. The ones that are co-ops are even better because the community comes together to make sure that it always stays looking nice. So don't let their bias sway you from deciding on buying a manufactured home. They're built so much better than they ever have been. They're affordable. They have really nice upgrades. I know someone in the comment section is going to say, would you live in one or have you lived in one? Yes, I have. I've lived in one. There was nothing wrong with it. I actually didn't even know it was a manufactured home when I was renting it out for quite some time. And I found a quote that I thought you should hear. It says, like houses, let's not judge by the facade, but by the warmth within. For true value lies in the soul of the home, not its exterior. But you let me know, do you think that manufactured homes are a money pit, or do you think that they're still a viable, affordable housing option? You let me know in the comment section below. To watch more videos about manufactured homes, you're going to want to watch these videos right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.